Hello and welcome to the JP Wheels FSD YouTube channel. So we're starting off today's video with a very interesting scenario here coming up. As you can see, we have a box truck on the left hand side and a bicycle ahead of it, well ahead of us, behind the truck. And FSD seems to slow down and it seems to handle the situation very perfectly. It is pinned between the bicyclist and this red truck here on the side, and it handles this situation with no problem. It slows down, waits for that box truck to pass us up, then waits for the pedestrian to go ahead and pass by before the vehicle proceeds forward. Now here, as you can tell, we're turning right, but FSD fails to see a vehicle coming, that black van there. And this is a very interesting scenario because turning right on this street is very dangerous, I guess. It is a very blind right turn. Even if you go straight on that intersection there, it is quite tough because the visibility is quite low. Now coming up here, we have a railroad crossing, and I'm wondering if FSD is able to detect the railroad crossing. It doesn't show it on the UI. Maybe it's just a choice from the Tesla engineers there. They don't visualize the railroad crossing on the UI, but it would be nice. I know a better 3D rendering is coming in the future releases. It would be nice to be able to see more accurately what the car actually perceives. So here we're waiting for this vehicle to pull into their driveway, and we're just approaching a stop sign here. No issues with FSD. So as we approach this intersection, sometimes when vehicles approach, they wave us to go ahead and go first. And I'm not sure if it's because we get there first or if FSD actually picks that up from the other drivers signaling us. I'm not sure, but sure is maybe quite the coincidence. And one thing to mention is that FSD is still not the best at avoiding potholes, as you can see from the camera shakiness here. It's choosing to drive right on the potholes in the street. Usually I go ahead and I drive a bit offset to the right on this street here just to avoid the potholes. It would be nice if FSD was able to drive at an offset so that it could avoid the potholes, as you can see here by the camera shaking pretty violently there. Now sometimes at these kinds of intersections, it's a really random behavior. Sometimes it stays in its lane, so the lane that it's projected to go into, the rightmost lane. Sometimes it just cuts straight across like this. It just goes straight to the left lane here. So we are hopping on the freeway on the left hand side up ahead, but I mean we have a quarter of a mile. We have quite the amount of time before it has to jump to the left lane. It's really random. I find it sometimes at night it's a bit more cautious. Maybe this is done intentionally. Now every time that FSD enters the freeway, it decides to go into the carpool lane. Now it doesn't know if I actually have enough people to go into the carpool lane or not. It just kind of says, hey, let's go ahead and take the path of least resistance there. It just goes straight for the lane with the least amount of vehicles blocking. I know that it detects the carpool lane icon on the road. Yeah, if you have more information on that, please drop a comment down below and let me know how that works. One thing that I found is that FSD merges really well when it gets on the highways, or even when it gets off the highways. As you can see here, we merged with no problem, even though that big rig was in the way. Well, not really in the way, it was just kind of a bit ahead of us. And also there was a vehicle to the left hand side, but FSD had zero problem getting in there. It's actually quite aggressive sometimes. In this version, or this version of FSD is the 13.2.9, and it's on the standard mode. And even on the standard mode, sometimes I think that it is quite aggressive. It goes ahead and changes lanes, not too often, but sometimes it changes lanes looking for a path of, again, like least resistance. And sometimes it does it and there's like no point for why it should be doing that. It just goes right back to the lane where it started off in the first place. But I'm curious to try the Mad Max mode. So hopefully that's rolled out here in a few days in the Bay Area. Let me know down in the comments if you have tried the Mad Max and how that compares to the old 13.2.9 version of the Hurry or even the standard mode. coming up pretty soon here is our exit, and as you can see there's a line of vehicles, there's a big rig, and we just have to get in. But FSD just really has zero problem getting into the lane that it needs to get in. It, I think, has so far visibility that it's able to find openings in traffic and accelerate up to those openings, maybe even farther than I can, because whenever I'm about to exit the freeway, I just try to find the nearest possible spot that I can get in. But I think FSD has that context of, 100 meters, 200 meters far away from the vehicle in the forward direction. So sometimes it freaks me out how it just speeds up towards the exit, but it just eventually seems to always find an entrance into the lane that it needs to get into. On this drive, we end up getting to the destination with no problem, but let me know down in the comment section below what kind of content or what kind of situations you want to see FSD be put through, no matter how ridiculous they are. I'm willing to do that. So yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment down below with those ideas. It doesn't matter how ridiculous they are, as long as I guess I don't go to jail or end up in prison. Just kidding. But yeah, go ahead and drop those ideas down below. I'll go ahead and take the FSD into any stress scenarios or anything like that. Thank you very much. See you next time.